Welcome back to Words in Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol. As my Christmas gift to you, I give you yet another video detailing the failing of Disney Star Wars. This time not with any sort of television show or movie, but with toys. Let's get into this article by bounding into comics. Alleged Star Wars toy insider claims Baby Yoda sales in decline. Star Wars merchandise no longer considered cream of the crop. Well, that's good. I mean, obviously I don't know everything this article has to say. We're going to go over it together. But yeah, Space Pikachu was kind of what was keeping Star Wars merch alive. I mean, we all remember when Hasbro tried to set up the page to get Reva's lightsaber funded, and it didn't even complete. Like, as massive a success as the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was, there weren't even enough fans that would want to pledge for Reva's lightsaber. Oh my goodness. So, yeah. Frankly, say what you will about Grogu, he's fine. He's cute, he's marketable, but you can't save a brand off of him. And yeah, it's kind of dying down. I mean, we haven't had a new season of Mando in forever, minus a couple of episodes of Boba Fett last year. And when you don't keep putting out content with your marketable little mascot, it's gonna fall by the wayside. The reason I call him Space Pikachu, Pokemon knows this. Pokemon always has stuff coming out. It never leaves the public consciousness. So there's Pikachu merch everywhere, and it's always selling. Let's go through this article. An alleged Star Wars toy insider claims the shine on Baby Yoda, or Grogu, might have fallen following the release of the Book of Boba Fett. And not only has this shine fallen from Baby Yoda, but Star Wars toys in general are no longer considered the cream of the crop. Well, frankly, I'm okay with that. There aren't a lot of modern Star Wars toys I care too much about. Like, yeah, the Black Series Thrawn was pretty cool. And that's it. Disney insider WDW Pros shared a statement from this alleged toy insider on Twitter, which was also shared to Bounding into Comics. For about 2 years, those Baby Yoda shipments were a nice bandage on the Star Wars section of the business plan, plugging holes of a leaky ship. Yes, this is absolutely true. Go to Walmart, Target, wherever you buy your toys, and look at the Star Wars section. A lot of times, you can look in the clearance section. You will see boxes and boxes of Rey Palpatines, or Jar Jars, or Admiral Holdos that just never sold. They're sometimes on clearance for like $7.99 when they're usually selling for like $27.99. It's honestly quite sad. And yeah, Grogu merch absolutely was a bandage because no matter what, that was selling. You had Grogu stuffed animals, Grogu makeup kits, Grogu bedspreads, and they were gender neutral, so you could buy these for either a boy or a girl, and they were going to love it. So, yeah, Grogu was very much a band-aid. What's even funnier about calling Star Wars toys kind of a failure, do you know who does Star Wars toys? Hasbro. Do you know who Hasbro owns? Wizards of the Coast. You can actually link Star Wars and magic in a fun, interesting way. Star Wars is obviously a much, much larger IP. Everyone and their grandmother worldwide knows what Star Wars is. Magic the Gathering is popular, sure, but when you compare the two, it's no contest. One is one of the highest grossing franchises in the world, and the other is a pretty famous collectible card game. Hasbro's #1 moneymaker is Magic of the Gathering through Wizards of the Coast. It is their very first billion-dollar product. Now, I've told you ad nauseum it's an awful garbage product that no one should support, but think about that. A card game called a Magic the Gathering is outselling Star Wars toys when they're distributed by the same company. That is something that if you told me in 2005, I never would have believed. When you were fresh off Revenge of the Sith, and there was video games and toys, and regardless of what you have to say about the prequel trilogy, that film was pretty much loved out the gate. So Star Wars merch was at an all-time high. Magic the Gathering, I didn't play it back in 2005, so I can't tell you what the market was like. But I'd be willing to bet my left nut that it didn't compare to Star Wars sales. And now, a collectible card game is in the billion-dollar range, and Hasbro can't even sell Star Wars toys. That says it all. Baby Yoda merch in trouble. Grogu's demand going down. Prepare for a very deep dive into the toy industry from a high-placed exec and a major partner with Disney. Some news sources give you vague predictions. This is not that. That's from WDW Pro. However, the veneer on Baby Yoda has appeared to wear off as the insider claims that Disney overshipped Baby Yoda merch and retailers were not able to actually sell the product. And that would be a first. This would be the first time, to my knowledge, that Grogu stuff wasn't selling like hotcakes, and that has got to be scary for Disney. He explains, Yoda ships were way too high for pickup. Way too high to the point of initiating retail cleanup for some of the weaker extensions. Novelty stuff, too. Now, I'm no expert in anything like this. It's not my area of expertise, not my cup of tea. But it sounds like he's saying, look, they shipped way too much and now it's not selling, especially novelty things. You know, things like Grogu toothbrush holders, Grogu floor mats, you know, things that aren't just action figures or stuffed animals. The insider went on, generally pickup is very low right now. Remember, baby, which was the internal lingo, baby for some reason the word Yoda was avoided, baby is not an evergreen. Matter of fact, Star Wars Inc. may no longer fit certain definitions of the term. Monopoly is an evergreen. That's interesting. So, evergreen from context sounds like something that no matter how much they ship, no matter how much is stocked, will always sell. The board game Monopoly. There's always going to be kids for Christmas getting the board game Monopoly, or for birthdays, or sometimes families just want to have a board game night and they go out and buy Monopoly. Star Wars probably used to be an evergreen, you know, especially Grogu. He was so famous for those little 2 years that it was probably flying off shelves and was considered an evergreen, something that will forever stay popular. At least Star Wars as a whole was probably considered an evergreen, something that would always sell and always be popular. But if we're seeing that decline, hopefully this is something Disney is taking a look at and realizing maybe we've made mistakes because we have ruined the franchise so much, even toys aren't selling. But apparently the character got beaten heads-up marketing at a Walmart in Kalamazoo. The insider explains, not from the toy side, but another category doing mail intercepts, standing in the parking lot of a Walmart in Kalamazoo, weighted for population age groups, they are shown images on 2x2 boards, Baby Yoda full body, and the other is Darth Vader headshot. Which one has more recognition, do you think? Not even close. Well, yeah, I mean, Darth Vader is, regardless of whether you like it or not, or agree or not, it's fact. Darth Vader is the face of the Star Wars brand. The insider then reveals, okay, after a whole morning of this, a decision is made to downshift this time. Baby goes up against R2-D2. Again, parking lot of a Walmart in Kalamazoo. This is America. Who actually wins the head-to-head? Correct, the original droid. Once again, that doesn't surprise me. You've got large age groups, and one is a relatively new character that, albeit cute and is blown up, is still competing against a character that's been part of the public zeitgeist since the mid-70s. It shouldn't even be close. Oh, but it doesn't end there. R2-D2 cleaned Baby Yoda's clock on the sub-questions as well, not just awareness. Which one are you more interested in? Whose adventures would you rather follow? Etc. He relayed that R2 picture used was, I think, from Empire, Cloud City, front leg down, classic. The insider then declared, even the biggest character of a small limited viewing TV show can't compare to the cultural power of real Star Wars. A couple years of okay to strong sales, sure, plug some holes, but you're still, big picture, rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. I like that wording. That's completely fair. There were so many people, myself included, that thought after Season 1 of Mandalorian, Star Wars was saved. Then the rest of history kept happening and we realized, no it isn't. And with more and more disdain and distrust for Disney and modern Star Wars, it also takes our enchantment with Grogu, Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call him, down a few notches. He and his Beskar-clad buddy are no longer saviors. They're more just fond memories of what could have been if Disney had kept on that trajectory. As for how to solve the problem, the insider points to stronger storytelling from Lucasfilm and Star Wars. For Baby Yoda to hang on and hope to build, especially if the wish is to develop toy subcats, where the play pattern involves the character interacting using the personalities and storylines presented in the movies, TV, books, he needs a true, intricate story that is his own, ideally more than one. That's exactly correct. As a kid, I played with so many action figures, and Star Wars action figures were my bread and butter. I regret selling all those. I had cases of Star Wars action figures, and I was coming up with my own storylines and making characters battle, but I was doing so based off of information I had about them from growing up watching those movies. How did I know that Jango Fett could fly? Because I watched the films. How did he fare in a fight against Darth Vader? Well, he beat him because it was my own child fan fiction, and I liked Jango better than Darth Vader, even though I knew who the character of Darth Vader was. All the little fanfics I came up with at 8 years old, colliding these action figures into one another, were based on the fact that I knew these characters. I didn't just look at them and think they were cute. What do we know about Grogu's personality? That he loves Mando and likes to eat. That's really it. In fact, Baby Yoda might actually need a stronger villain than Moff Gideon as well. The insider detailed why a strong villain is necessary to move an entire line of merchandise. When I was running a section of the line in the prequel days, Darth Maul was a great example of a breakout where he was burning through pegs even more than already planned for. Rule of thumb back then in the toy merch, if your villain wasn't moving, then you were at risk for the overall line. And yeah, that makes perfect sense. While Giancarlo Esposito is a fantastic actor, he's completely wasted as a villain in Mandalorian because Disney has a fear of making their villains fearsome. He doesn't really have a lot of screen time, and therefore people aren't interested in buying his toys because, oh no, he's a bad guy. We see him with the Darksaber. Maybe some toys are sold of him with the Darksaber if they make them so you can have a Darksaber. But I don't know. I think that they've truly underutilized him, and yeah, I would not be surprised if this information backs up that that's why the toy lines are crashing. He added, "We removed Jar Jars and replaced them with even more Mauls in early case packs and in the various assortments of sublines. You need to get the villain in the house for boys to build their collections around because of the play pattern." WDW Pro concurred with this statement. That is a fantastic point. There's a masterclass in understanding how boys play with their action figures and why it's so important for every intellectual property out there that is going to be merch heavy to have an awesome villain. He declared, "You need one because the boys need to roleplay with these characters, defeating the villain." I mean, I don't have an argument there. It's not surprising that Star Wars merchandise is not doing well and that Lucas' original trilogy characters perform better than most of what Disney has produced since they purchased Lucasfilm. Most recently, Hasbro failed at crowdfunding the lightsaber of Obi-Wan Kenobi villain Reva. The crowdfunding had a target of 5,000 backers and only managed to secure 1,413. Yep, brought that up already. Back in April of 2020, Diamond Select Toys president Chuck Terresia also revealed there was a lack of demand for Disney's sequel trilogy merchandise. He told Rebel Scum, "I will say from what we have seen, the sales of the products from 7 and 8 were not strong. I know these movies, as well as 9, have their fans, and those fans might say GG just never did the right products or characters or formats, and they might be correct." He continued, "However, we can only go by what we know. For sure the door is not closed to the ST products, and we are working on a couple of pieces for The Rise of Skywalker right now." When questioned by Rebel Scum's Chris Weidman about products he claimed were very requested characters, Tercerio fired back, "As I mentioned before, we are working on some, but I have to ask, are you sure there's lots of demand for these very requested characters?" Tercerio would also claim this was an industry-wide demand factor, not isolated to the Gentle Giant. It's not just a GG issue either. The brand is very strong with The Mandalorian and The Clone Wars, and more new content to come, but you all know what the production run-ons collector products were in the past compared to now. "We would very much love to make more products for the movie," he said. "It's not like we're sitting behind our desk wringing our hands thinking how can we stick it to fans and not make busts they want that will make us money, right?" Yeah, exactly. People at the toy company want these Star Wars movies to be successful because that's how they make money, is toy sales. But it's not happening and Disney is to blame. He then declared, "We just, as of yet, have not seen enough fans that would want to buy a bust have their personal affection for some of these new characters that makes sense to justify going to production. But for sure, we're watching it, and perhaps as more time passes, fans' affection for those characters will grow." In the Walt Disney Company's 2019 Quarter 3 report, they also admitted there was a decrease in sales of Star Wars merch. "The increase to our customer products business was due to growth at our merchandise license and retail businesses. Growth at merchandise licensing was primarily due to higher revenue from merchandise based on Toy Story, partially offset by a decrease from Star Wars merchandise." So even Toy Story is outselling Star Wars. That is insane. And Star Wars merchandise sales have been in decline since 2016, with Jedi Temple Archive reporting in 2018. Star Wars merchandise sales have been declining ever since October 2016. Remember that Disney's fiscal year ends in September. But not only merchandise seems to be affected, since Star Wars book sales and comic book sales are also down. So Star Wars as a whole seems to be in decline at the moment. And yet here we are 6 years later, and Disney still doesn't seem to have taken the hint. The Star Wars brand does not seem to be rejuvenating itself either, as now it appears Baby Yoda merchandise is in decline. On top of this information regarding Baby Yoda merchandise, the latest Star Wars Disney Plus, Andor, has been posting abysmal viewership ratings week over week, despite the fact that it's actually good from everything I've heard. That's how much Disney has just burned their goodwill with fans. Following the series premiere, which included the release of the first 3 episodes, Nielsen reported it only garnered 624 million viewers. The show has fluctuated in the low 400s and high 300s since. It had 485 million views with the release of the 4th episode. It declined to 356 million with the release of the 5th. The series slightly rebounded with the release of the 6th episode at 405 million. It continued an upward trajectory to 418 million with the release of the 7th episode. However, it declined back to 385 million with episode 8's release. The 9th episode did not even make it on Nielsen's chart, as Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale took the 10th and final spot with 440 million minutes viewed. The 10th episode did bounce back with 420 million minutes viewed. Given these poor numbers, YouTuber Valiant Renegade declared the Star Wars brand dead. He opens the video discussing Andor's viewership ratings, saying, "Star Wars, once considered to be the greatest and most valuable, and frankly the most indestructible intellectual property in Hollywood franchise history, is now perhaps been reduced to an ash heap." What do you make of this alleged information regarding the merchandise sales for Baby Yoda? Okay. Well, all in all, here's what I make of it. People don't care about Disney Star Wars, and the novelty of Space Pikachu has worn off. If Disney can leave their woke propaganda stuff behind and just write good stories with good compelling villains and great compelling characters that we all love and want to see more of, and stop patting themselves on the back for diversity even though they write like third graders, maybe we'll see an uptick in Star Wars sales. You would think that's what Disney wants, since that's what makes them money. But like I said in my previous video about the live-action Little Mermaid, likes and retweets are a more valued currency than the deflating American dollar. Do with that information what you will, and tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Also, please like and subscribe. I am really trying to grow this channel, so it would mean the world to me. And follow me on Twitter at BoltTheWord. Because until then, this has been Words of Paradise.